Success begins the moment you stop expecting someone to owe you. If you're still waiting for someone to believe in you, help you, support you, or give you a chance, you're waiting for the wrong thing. Life doesn't owe you. People don't owe you. Nobody is required to show up and fix what you're going through. And the sooner you accept that, the stronger you become. The moment you let go of expectations is the moment you take full control. You stop feeling disappointed. You stop feeling stuck. You start taking action. This mindset, act like no one owes you anything, is not harsh. It's empowering. It means you don't need to beg, chase, or explain. You just do. You build, you improve, you move forward whether people notice or not. That's how you grow. That's how you win. And if you can lock this into your thinking, you won't just survive. You'll lead your life on your own terms. Starting now. Number 1, stop expecting people to care about your effort. You have to stop expecting people to care about your effort. That's the first truth you need to accept if you want to take control of your life. The world doesn't reward effort. It rewards results. And that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's also the most freeing truth you'll ever embrace. See, when you walk around thinking people should care because you tried hard, because you stayed up late, because you put your heart into something, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Most people are busy with their own problems. They're not watching you. They're not thinking about what you've done or how much energy you've burned. They're looking for outcomes. They're asking, did it get done? Not, did you try hard? And once you understand that, you stop living in frustration. This is where people get it wrong. They confuse effort with value. Just because you've worked hard doesn't mean what you've done is valuable. Just because you struggled doesn't mean you've progressed. That's why so many people feel invisible. They think if they suffer enough, someone will notice. But life doesn't work that way. You get noticed when you deliver, when you bring results, when you build something real, not just when you try. There's a harshness to this truth. It stings a little because we're human and we want to be seen. We want someone to say, I see how hard you're working. But the truth is, no one's required to say that. No one owes you recognition. No one owes you validation. That's your job. You've got to learn to move without applause. You've got to perform even when no one's watching. You've got to build something strong even when no one's supporting you. That's the discipline that changes lives. If you expect people to cheer for you every time you try, you're going to be emotionally stuck forever. That kind of thinking keeps people broke. It keeps people bitter. It keeps them from taking real responsibility. The longer you wait for someone to clap for you, the longer you delay your growth. You don't need people to understand your struggle. You need to push through it anyway. You don't need people to feel sorry for how hard things have been. You need to use that pain to push harder. You don't need anyone to appreciate your effort. You need to let your results speak for you. That's power. That's control. That's maturity. You know what's better than sympathy? Self-respect. You know what feels better than attention? Progress. You know what's stronger than being seen? Being needed. And you don't become needed by asking for support. You become needed by becoming excellent. That's the path forward. Do more. Learn more, get better, keep improving, keep leveling up. Keep doing the work no matter how you feel. A lot of people stop when they don't get recognition. They say, what's the point if no one appreciates it? I'll tell you what the point is. The point is you're building yourself. The point is you're making something real. The point is you're moving forward while others are still waiting to be seen. You're separating yourself from the average. And if you want to be excellent, if you want to rise above, then you have to stop needing others to see how much you care. They don't need to. You do. You need to see how much you care. You need to believe in your own path. You need to keep your focus on becoming the kind of person who doesn't need reminders or rewards, the kind of person who doesn't wait for motivation, the kind of person who gets up and shows up because that's who they are. It's not easy, but nothing good ever is. There's a reason most people never make it to the next level. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle working hard without anyone noticing. But that's where the growth is. That's where you build real strength. When it's just you, your work, and your standards. You've got to be emotionally independent. That means not needing approval. That means not seeking credit. That means not chasing recognition. That means doing the job even when no one says thank you. You do it because it needs to be done. You do it because you said you would. You do it because you said you would. You do it because you expect more from yourself. When you adopt that mindset, you stop getting discouraged so easily. You stop falling apart when things don't go your way. You stop waiting for people to give you permission to keep going. You don't need permission. You don't need praise. You need to commit. That's the real work. It's easy to get caught up in emotion, to feel like the world is unfair, to wonder why no one notices your effort. But that mindset will crush your spirit if you let it. Instead, you've got to rise. You've got to remind yourself, no one owes me anything. Not their time, not their attention, not their approval. And that's okay, because I owe it to myself to become everything I'm capable of. The sooner you let go of the need to be seen, the faster you'll grow. The sooner you stop expecting people to care, the freer you become. And in that freedom, you'll find your real power. You'll start building habits that don't rely on emotion. You'll start living with a sense of purpose that doesn't need constant reassurance. You'll become a person who can keep going no matter what. People respect results. People follow strength. People respond to consistency. So give them that. Show them your standard. Show them your discipline. Show them what happens when someone stops waiting and starts building. Let them see what it looks like when someone takes their life seriously. You don't need to talk about how hard it's been. You don't need to explain your sacrifices. You don't need to post about your hustle. Just do the work. Stay focused. Stay locked in. Show up again tomorrow. That's how you change your life, quietly, relentlessly, without needing anyone to clap for you. At the end of the day, here's the truth. People don't care how hard you try until you give them a reason to. So stop expecting them to care just because you showed up. Show them why you're different. Show them why you can't be ignored. And if they still don't notice, that's fine, because you'll know. You'll know who you are. And that's enough. Success starts when entitlement ends. Growth begins the moment you stop needing attention. Power lives in the mindset that says, I don't expect anything from anyone, but I expect everything from myself. Keep that, live by that, and you'll become unstoppable. Number 2, do what's needed even when it feels unfair. There are moments in life when what you have to do doesn't feel fair, it doesn't feel equal, doesn't feel right. But you do it anyway. Why? Because that's what growth demands. That's what real responsibility looks like. That's what separates those who move forward from those who stay stuck. You will face situations where you're giving more than others, where you're the one showing up early, staying late, cleaning up the mess, fixing the problems others caused. And every part of you wants to complain. Every part of you wants to say, why me? Why do I have to carry the load? That voice inside you wants to protest, wants to resist, wants to back off. But you don't listen to that voice. You push through. Because doing what's needed, even when it feels unfair, is how you grow stronger, how you gain respect, and how you become irreplaceable. Life is not built on fairness, it's built on action. There's no scoreboard keeping track of who's had it easy and who's had it hard. The world doesn't hand out rewards because you had to suffer more than someone else. The reward comes when you keep moving, even when it doesn't feel good. When you act with discipline, when you take care of things others ignore, when you hold yourself to a higher standard without needing someone else to do the same. That's maturity, that's leadership, that's character. Most people will only do what feels fair. They'll match effort for effort. If someone does 50%, they'll do 50%. If someone else slacks off, they'll slack off too, and then they wonder why they don't get ahead. They wonder why no one sees them as a leader, as reliable, as trustworthy. It's because they're too busy comparing. They're too busy trying to stay even instead of trying to be excellent. If you want to rise, you stop comparing. You stop keeping score. You stop waiting for things to feel equal. You look at what's needed and you do it. Not because it's fair, not because it's fun, but because you know that your future depends on how you handle this moment right now. You don't build strength when everything feels balanced. You build strength when the load feels heavier than it should be, and you carry it anyway. You build grit when life feels tilted against you, and you still show up and deliver. You build self-respect when you choose effort over emotion. It's easy to do the right thing when everyone else is doing their part. It's easy to show up when the system feels fair. But that's not where greatness is made. Greatness is made in the moments when things feel off, when people around you are slacking, when the environment feels unfair, and you rise anyway. You give your best even when others don't. You stay consistent even when others are comfortable. You stay focused even when others are distracted. And something happens when you do that. You become the one people rely on. You become the one who can be trusted, who can be counted on, who holds everything together when others fall apart. That's power. That's respect. That's where real opportunity begins. Because leaders are not chosen by convenience. They're revealed by adversity. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for things to feel fair, waiting for their boss to notice, waiting for the team to catch up, waiting for their situation to feel just right before they give their all. And they keep waiting, they keep holding back, they keep missing their moment. But the ones who win are the ones who say, it doesn't feel fair, but I'm doing it anyway. That mindset changes everything. Fairness is a trap. It keeps you focused on what others have. It keeps you distracted from your own responsibility. And the truth is, focusing on fairness keeps you from seeing your own power. The power to show up, the power to take action, the power to respond with strength, even when the conditions aren't perfect. People will disappoint you. People will underdeliver. People will take shortcuts. And when they do, you've got a choice. You can match their behavior and become just like them, or you can step up and become someone better. That choice defines your future. Every single time, doing what's needed doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel right, but it works. It builds confidence. It sharpens your skills. It gives you momentum. And that momentum, that's what changes your life. Most people never build momentum because they stop whenever things feel unfair. But you can't afford that. Not if you want to grow. Not if you want to lead. Not if you want to reach your full potential. It takes real strength to keep going when no one's pulling their weight. It takes emotional control to hold yourself to a high standard while others coast. But when you live that way, when you choose responsibility over resentment, everything changes. You stop feeling like a victim. You stop waiting to be rescued. You stop expecting someone else to do the right thing first. You take ownership, you take the lead, and you start living on a different level. So when it feels unfair, and it will, remind yourself that fairness is not the goal. Growth is. Results are. Mastery is. Being the best version of yourself is. And none of those things require fairness. They require discipline. They require courage. They require relentless action. You don't need to explain yourself to people. You don't need to defend your effort. You don't need anyone to agree with your work ethic. What you need is clarity. You need to know what you want, why you want it, and what's required to get there. And then you do what's needed, whether it feels fair or not. There's real freedom in that mindset. Because once you stop needing things to feel fair, you stop waiting, you stop reacting, you start acting. You become unstoppable. You become dangerous in the best way. Because nothing can throw you off. Not laziness around you, not inconsistency, not unfair moments. You've trained yourself to move anyway, to act anyway, to grow anyway. This is not about pretending life is perfect. It's not about ignoring how things feel. It's about rising above those feelings. It's about choosing to lead your own life even when the circumstances don't cooperate. That's where real strength lives. That's how you build a mindset that can't be broken. So don't back down just because it doesn't feel equal. Don't wait for everyone else to catch up. Don't hold back just because others aren't pulling their weight. Do what's needed. Be the one who steps forward when no one else will. Be the one who holds the line. Be the one who keeps moving when others are complaining. Because when you do that consistently, something shifts. You stop being average. You stop blending in. You rise. And the people who used to question you, they start following your lead. The people who didn't see your value, they start depending on your strength. And the unfairness that used to frustrate you, it becomes the very pressure that shaped you into someone powerful. Act anyway. Move anyway. Give anyway. Because in the end, the only thing that matters is what you've built with your effort, your choices, and your mindset. The world may never be fair, but you can still be great. Number 3, take the hit and still keep moving forward. Things will hit you. Sometimes it's failure, sometimes it's loss, sometimes it's rejection, embarrassment, betrayal, or a moment that shatters everything you were building. It will sting. It will shock you. You'll feel that punch in your chest. You'll feel your confidence shake. And you'll feel the silence in the room when no one comes to pull you back up. But that's where this message matters. Take the hit and still keep moving forward. You're not made of glass. You're not supposed to break every time life hits you hard. You're supposed to respond. You're supposed to adjust. You're supposed to get back up and decide that this moment won't define you. That's what separates the strong from the fragile. Not that they avoid being hit, but that they keep going anyway. Most people think strength is about looking tough or speaking louder or avoiding mistakes. That's not it. Strength is how you respond the moment you get knocked down. It's what you do when the spotlight is gone, when no one is watching, when your plans didn't work, and when everything feels heavier than expected. That's when real strength is tested. That's when you find out what you're really made of. And here's what you need to understand. Every time you choose to keep going after a setback, you build something inside you that no one can take away. You gain mental control. You sharpen your focus. You stop being shaken by things that used to throw you off. You become emotionally steady. That's power. That's quiet strength. That's the kind of growth that outlasts noise, trends, or opinions. But this choice isn't comfortable. It's not automatic. It's not something you're born with. You develop it by making one hard decision at a time. You wake up after being hit and decide to show up again. You face what broke you and still choose to stay in the fight, not because it's fun, not because it's easy, but because your life depends on how you respond now. Your future is being shaped by what you do in this moment. You've got to stop looking at setbacks like they're signs that you're not meant for something. That's not how it works. The hit is part of the path. The pain is part of the process. Every person who's ever achieved something real has taken hits most people couldn't survive. The only reason they made it is because they decided to keep going while others froze. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need a smooth path. You need to decide that you're not going to stop because something hurt. And that's hard. Because pain demands your attention. It screams at you. It makes you question your choices. It makes you want to shut down. But your job is to hold your ground, to remind yourself that pain is temporary, but regret lasts much longer. If you stop every time it hurts, you'll never grow. If you retreat every time you fail, you'll never learn. If you wait for the pain to disappear before you move forward, you'll be stuck for the rest of your life. That's why you take the hit and you keep going. No one gets a clean life. Everyone is hit in some way. Some people just get better at handling it. They stop reacting emotionally. They stop making the hit personal. They start seeing the value in pressure. They start using failure as feedback. They stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? That shift changes everything. You don't have to enjoy it, but you do have to face it. You do have to deal with it, and you do have to move through it, because if you don't, the hit wins. The failure wins. The fear wins. And you don't want that. You want your future to be stronger than your past. You want to come out of this season with a new level of strength, not a longer list of complaints. This mindset isn't about pretending you're not hurt. It's about not letting the hurt make your decisions. It's about not letting the pain slow your progress. You acknowledge it, you feel it, but you keep doing the work anyway. That's how you win. That's how you take the power back. No one's coming to carry you. That's the truth. People might care, but they've got their own problems. They can support you, but they can't save you. This is on you, how you respond, how you recover, how you rise. That's your responsibility. And once you accept that, you stop waiting. You stop hoping someone will rescue you. You start acting. You start solving. You start moving. And over time, something incredible happens. You stop fearing the hit. You stop flinching when things go wrong. You build a rhythm of resilience. You expect things to go off track, but you trust yourself to figure it out. You stop seeing failure as the end. You start seeing it as part of the process. People will doubt you. They'll walk away when things get hard. They'll question your ability. But if you keep going, you'll surprise them. You'll outlast them. You'll prove, not with words, but with results, that you don't break easily, that you don't give up when things go sideways, that you're the kind of person who keeps showing up even after life pushes back. This is what builds confidence. This is what creates self-belief. It's not speeches. It's not books. It's your own action in hard moments. It's your own decision to stand up again. That decision, repeated enough times, turns you into someone different, someone calm under pressure, someone who finishes what they start, someone who leads by example. You don't have to wait for motivation. Motivation comes after action. It doesn't show up first. You act first, you move first, you do what's necessary first, and eventually motivation will catch up to you. Most people never figure this out. They sit in the pain and wait for inspiration. But inspiration comes to those who move. So whatever hits you, take a breath, feel it, accept it, and then move forward. Even if it's slow, even if it's hard, even if your legs are shaking, move anyway. Because that's how you take back control. That's how you stop the pain from defining you. That's how you grow into someone who's stronger than anything life throws at you. This is how your life changes. Not by avoiding pain, not by waiting for things to get easy, but by facing the hit and walking through it like someone who knows exactly what they're fighting for. You want more? Then you take the hit and keep going. That's the only way. And it's always worth it. Number 4, show results when no one claps for you. There will be times when you're doing the work, putting in the hours, building something real, and no one notices. You'll give your best and still feel invisible. You'll improve yourself, make progress, and get no praise. That's the moment most people stop. That's the moment most people pull back, slow down, or give up completely. They look around, and when the claps don't come, they think the work doesn't matter. But here's what matters more than anything. Show results when no one claps for you. If your effort only exists when someone is watching, then you're not serious yet. If your discipline depends on applause, you're still chasing attention, not growth. The people who actually change their lives, the ones who become unstoppable, don't wait for anyone to celebrate them. They build quietly, they grow silently, they show up for themselves, not the crowd. That's where real power lives. You have to ask yourself a hard question. Do you want to be seen, or do you want to be successful? Because often those two things don't come together. Success usually starts in private. It begins in silence. You're doing the right things and no one is acknowledging it. That's where the strength is built. That's when you're developing the kind of internal fire that no one can take away from you. Claps fade, validation fades, but skills and results don't. When you work without praise, you teach yourself to lead your own life. You stop waiting, you stop depending, you start showing up because your goals matter more than attention. You begin to respect yourself, not because others clap, but because you kept a promise to yourself. And that builds confidence, that creates self-respect. Not the fake kind based on opinions, but the solid kind that sticks with you. Too many people waste years waiting to be noticed. They think their worth increases when people compliment them. But your value doesn't rise because someone says, "Good job." It rises because you did the work anyway. It rises because you didn't stop. You didn't need a crowd. You didn't need validation. You just kept pushing forward, and the results started showing. It's easy to post your work and hope people respond. It's easy to share your progress and feel disappointed when nobody reacts. But that's not the game. The real game is behind the scenes. It's you doing the work no matter who's watching. It's you grinding through the early mornings and late nights, knowing that success isn't built on recognition, it's built on consistency. There are people right now watching quietly. They won't say anything. They won't clap, but they're paying attention. They're watching how you move, how you respond, how you show up when it's hard, and at the right time they'll speak. At the right time, your results will speak louder than anything else. But you can't rush that. You can't perform just for their applause. You have to be committed with or without it. It takes a different level of maturity to stay focused in silence. When no one is cheering, when no one is validating your journey, when all you have is your own standards, you find out what kind of person you really are. Do you keep going? Do you still give your best? Or do you fold because the room is quiet? Don't let silence discourage you. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you that this process is about who you're becoming, not how many people notice along the way. Some of the best growth you'll ever experience will happen when no one else is looking, and that's what makes it real. That's what gives it meaning. You're not doing this for claps. You're doing this for freedom. You're doing this to build something solid. You're doing this to break limits, to improve your life, to prove to yourself that you're capable of more. And every time you do the work without applause, you build trust with yourself. You build that inner voice that says, "I show up. No matter what, I deliver. No matter who notices." That's character. That's discipline. That's how you become the kind of person people can rely on. Not the loudest, not the most celebrated, but the most consistent. And in the end, that's what matters. You don't need a crowd to do what's right. You don't need claps to finish what you started. You just need the mindset that says, "I'm here for the long run. I'm here to win. And I'll win with or without recognition." Most people don't make it because they get addicted to being seen. They want people to praise every move. And when the praise disappears, so does their work ethic. So does their drive. But that's not who you are. You're built to keep going. You're built to produce results, not posts, not empty motivation. Real results that reflect who you are becoming every day. You might not get likes. You might not hear a thank you. You might go months or even years without acknowledgement. But you keep building. You keep improving. You keep showing up. Because every action counts, every day adds up, every choice is either building your future or costing you time. So don't pause because the claps stopped. Don't lower your effort because the room got quiet. Don't question your purpose just because others don't see it yet. The vision you're working on is real. The growth you're chasing is worth it, but it's on you to stay locked in, even in silence. Some of the greatest moments in your life won't come with a crowd. They'll come when you're alone, exhausted, and still choosing to keep going. That's what creates the breakthrough. That's what puts you in a league of your own. You don't need to announce your growth. You don't need to explain your grind. Let the results speak. Let your work become undeniable. Let your consistency become your signature. When the results come, people will ask how you did it, and you'll know the answer. I showed up when no one was clapping. I worked in the dark. I stayed focused when it was quiet. I never needed the noise. That's the standard. That's the mindset. That's how you become great. By doing the work for the work, not the attention. By becoming someone who delivers, no matter what. So start today. Not for them, not for praise, not for validation. Start because you said you would. Start because your life matters more than other people's reactions. Start because you want to look in the mirror and respect who's staring back. Claps are temporary, but what you build in silence, that lasts. That stays. That's yours forever. Keep going, keep building. Show results, even when no one claps, especially then. Number 5, let go of the idea that life is fair. One of the most important things you'll ever do for yourself is to let go of the idea that life is fair. The longer you hold on to it, the more disappointed, frustrated, and angry you'll be. Life is not designed to be fair. It never promised fairness. And if you expect it, you'll spend your time blaming, complaining, and comparing instead of building, growing, and solving. You've probably already seen it. You've worked hard, and someone who didn't work at all got ahead. You've done the right thing, and someone else took advantage. You've kept your word, but people still lied to you. You followed the rules, and life still hit you with something you didn't deserve. That's reality. That's how it goes. It doesn't mean you're cursed or broken. It means you're alive. It means you're playing the real game, not the one people talk about, but the one everyone actually lives through. Once you accept that life doesn't operate on fairness, you stop taking things so personally. You stop expecting the world to hand you what you think you've earned. You start seeing everything differently. You realize you're responsible for your outcomes, even when the circumstances are stacked against you. And that's when your mindset shifts. That's when your power begins. You have to understand this. Fairness is not a strategy. It's not a tool. It doesn't help you move forward. If anything, it slows you down. Because when you're focused on what's fair, you're constantly checking what others have. You're constantly asking why things are harder for you. And every second you spend thinking that way is a second you're not solving, not learning, not building. People who win in life aren't obsessed with fairness. They're obsessed with growth. They don't care if someone else had a head start. They focus on what they can control. They take what they have and do something with it. And because of that mindset, they get ahead quietly, consistently, and without needing things to be fair first. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, if life were fair, I'd be further by now. But that mindset keeps you stuck. It makes you feel like a victim. And when you think like a victim, you act like one. You pull back, you wait, you talk about what should have happened instead of doing what needs to be done right now. You don't have time for that. You've got a life to change. You've got work to do. You've got a future to build. And fairness won't be the thing that builds it. Discipline will. Focus will. Resilience will. Accepting that life can be unfair, but moving anyway. That's where your strength comes from. When something unfair happens, most people stop. They sit in it. They replay it over and over. They think about how it should have gone. And while they're doing that, time is passing. The opportunity to grow is fading. The moment to act is being wasted. But the person who says, yeah, it wasn't fair, but I'm still going to handle it, that's the person who wins. That's the person who turns adversity into advantage. You don't have to like it. You don't have to pretend it's okay. You just have to stop expecting the world to make it up to you, because it won't. The world doesn't owe you a refund for what went wrong. It doesn't owe you compensation for the things you didn't deserve. All it gives you is the next moment. And what you do with that moment is what makes the difference. Fairness won't make you stronger. Struggle will. Unfairness will. Pressure will. Being overlooked will. Getting knocked down will. That's how you find out what you're capable of. Not when everything is equal, but when everything feels tilted and you move forward anyway. Some people spend years angry at the past, angry at how someone else had it easier, angry that they didn't get the same chances, and they carry that anger like a bag on their back. They bring it to every room, every opportunity, every conversation. And that weight slows them down. It clouds their judgment. It robs them of clarity. But the moment you drop it, the moment you say, it wasn't fair, but I'm done thinking about it, that's when you take back your energy. That's when you take your power back. You need that energy. You need that focus, because building a better life is already hard enough. Carrying around bitterness only makes it harder. It turns you into someone who's always looking backward instead of forward. But the future doesn't care about your past. The future cares about what you do now. And what you do now is up to you, not the world, not the system, not the people who wronged you. You have to work with what you have, and maybe that's less than what someone else has. Maybe you started behind. Maybe you've got more to overcome. But so what? If you spend all your time waiting for the world to even the playing field, you'll be waiting forever. The playing field isn't going to change. You have to change. You have to rise above it. You have to outwork, outlearn, and outlast everything that tries to hold you down. There's no rule that says life has to be equal. But there is one truth that holds. The people who keep showing up win. The people who stay in the game, who keep pushing, who don't collapse every time life is unfair, those people find a way through. Not because the road got easier, but because they got stronger. You have to make a decision about who you want to be. Do you want to be the person who complains about what's not fair? Or do you want to be the person who does something with what they've got? Because those are two different roads, and they don't lead to the same place. One leads to frustration. The other leads to freedom. You don't need more fairness. You need more action. You need more focus. You need more clarity about what matters and less emotion about what doesn't. You can either spend your energy asking why things happened, or you can use that energy to make something happen. That's the real shift. That's what takes you from stuck to unstoppable. So take a good look at your life. Accept every part of it, the good, the unfair, the frustrating, and then decide what to do next. Decide who you want to become. Decide what kind of story you want to write. Because fairness won't write it for you, you will. You don't have to like every part of your journey. You just have to own it. You just have to keep going. You just have to stop waiting for it to be fair and start making it worth it. That's how you grow. That's how you rise. That's how you become someone no setback can stop. Let go of the idea that life is fair. It never was. But you still have a choice. And that choice is yours every day. Use it. Number 6, accept silence from others and still show up. There will be times when the world goes quiet. You'll be doing your best, showing up every day, putting in effort most people will never see, and in return, nothing. No feedback, no support, no encouragement, just silence. And that silence will test you more than failure ever will, because it won't hurt your progress. It'll question your belief in yourself. But if you want to move forward in life, you must accept silence from others and still show up. That silence is real. You'll send out messages and no one replies. You'll share your ideas and no one responds. You'll try something new and get no reaction. You'll win small battles and no one notices. And in that moment, you'll feel the temptation to stop. You'll wonder why you even bother. You'll question if it's worth it. But that's exactly the point when it matters the most. Because when no one claps, when no one speaks, when no one shows up for you, you learn to show up for yourself. You weren't born to be fed praise. You were born to create your own momentum. The truth is, most people don't know what to say when someone is trying to grow. They don't know how to support someone chasing a vision. And often they're too distracted with their own lives to recognize your effort. That's not personal. That's reality. But the dangerous thing is when you let that silence become your excuse to slow down. When you tie your discipline to attention, you stay dependent. You wait for a reply before you act. You look for reactions before you continue. That's how people stay stuck. They never learned how to move in silence. They never trained themselves to trust their own direction. But if you want a real future, one that's built on solid ground, you've got to stop expecting noise. You've got to keep building when it's quiet. You don't need applause to be consistent. You need reasons, real ones, internal ones. A sense of purpose that goes deeper than likes or comments. The kind of purpose that gets you out of bed when no one is watching. The kind of reason that doesn't fade when people forget your name. That's what gives you long-term strength. Not energy from the outside, but commitment from the inside. You have to be willing to be unseen. You have to go through seasons where your progress is invisible to everyone but you. You wake up, show up, and do the work. Not because someone asked you to, not because someone complimented your effort, but because that's who you are now. And as you keep doing that, you begin to develop a level of strength most people never reach. Silence doesn't mean failure. Silence doesn't mean you're lost. Silence means this is your proving ground. This is your opportunity to rise without an audience. And people who can do that, who can keep showing up with no claps, no spotlight, no external motivation, those people become dangerous. Because they no longer rely on permission. They no longer rely on approval. They become self-powered. And there is nothing more powerful than someone who knows how to keep going without being pushed. Some people stop because they're afraid they're being ignored. But ask yourself, are you doing this to be seen, or are you doing this to change your life? Because you can't have both in the beginning. You either chase visibility or you chase mastery. The ones who chase mastery understand that the results will speak later, but the silence, that's part of the process. When you expect recognition too early, you drain yourself. You start wondering if people still care. You start focusing on how many people are paying attention. But that thinking is a trap. It takes your focus off the work. And without the work, there are no results. That's how most people give up. They don't run out of talent. They run out of attention. And when the attention goes quiet, they stop showing up. But you're not like that. You've seen what happens when you wait around for approval. You've seen how much time gets wasted trying to get noticed. This time you're doing it differently. You're not chasing noise, you're chasing growth. You're not asking for someone to say something. You're building something so real that eventually it can't be ignored. Every day you show up in silence, you sharpen your focus, you cut out distractions, you build habits that stick. You stop being driven by emotion and start being led by clarity. And over time, those quiet days start adding up. you gain experience, you gain strength, and most importantly, you gain trust in yourself. That trust doesn't come from claps. It comes from proving to yourself that you'll show up even when the world forgets you. You're not weak for wanting support. That's human. But you become powerful when you realize you can move forward without it. When you stop waiting to be reminded that you're doing well and you start acting like your effort matters no matter what, that's when you start living differently. Number 7. Move without validation because nobody is watching. Most people don't move unless someone's watching. They wait for eyes, they wait for likes, they wait for applause, and when it doesn't come, they pause, they hesitate, they lose energy. But the truth is, nobody's watching. Not the way you think they are. People are too busy with their own lives, too focused on their own struggles. And if your progress depends on being seen, you're going to stay stuck for a long time. If you want to build something real, you have to learn how to move without validation. You have to get comfortable doing the work when no one is around. It's not easy to push forward without recognition. It takes emotional strength to get up every day and stay consistent when nobody is checking in. It takes inner discipline to set a standard for yourself without needing anyone to approve it. Most people won't do it. That's why they keep starting over. They get excited when someone notices their effort. But as soon as the attention fades, so does their discipline. That cycle keeps them average. But when you break free from that, when you stop needing permission to move, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop chasing moments. You start building something long-term. You stop looking over your shoulder. You put your head down and focus. And when you live like that, results begin to stack. Not because you showed off, but because you showed up. Quietly, repeatedly, without needing an audience. You don't need someone to tell you you're doing the right thing. You already know. You know what you need to fix. You know what's missing. You know what action to take. What you're really looking for is confirmation. But that confirmation has to come from you, from doing the work, from proving it to yourself. Not once, not twice, but again and again. The world won't always clap, and you have to be okay with that. You have to be able to go weeks, months, even years with no applause, no praise, no encouragement. That's where your mental toughness is built. That's how your emotional independence is shaped. It's in the silence. It's in the absence of attention. It's in the decision to keep going, simply because it matters to you. There are people who talk all day about what they're going to do, but they never take a step unless someone's watching. They plan, they post, they share, but when the lights are off, they disappear. Don't become that. Don't become someone who only moves for validation. Become someone who moves with purpose, who acts because the action itself matters, who works because the work is part of their identity, not part of their performance. You have to know this. Nobody is going to hand you progress. Nobody is going to beg you to keep growing. Nobody is going to follow up and ask if you kept your promise to yourself. That's on you. That's always been on you. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you'll stop looking around for support and start building it from within. People will come around when the results are visible. That's just how it works. They'll care when the product is finished, when the success is obvious, when the work speaks louder than words. But until then, most of them are silent. And you have to be okay with that. You have to understand that the early stages of growth are always lonely. That's not failure. That's normal. You're not missing anything. You're not doing it wrong. You're just in the season where most people quit. The season where things are quiet, where there's no external fuel. And that's the season that determines everything. That's where your habits are formed. That's where your standards are built. That's where your identity is shaped. You have to start trusting yourself more than the crowd. Trust your vision. Trust your process. Trust your ability to figure things out along the way. Because when you wait to be told you're doing the right thing, you give someone else control over your life. And that's dangerous. That means your energy goes up and down based on someone else's opinion. That means your self-worth is tied to something outside of you. That's not strength. That's insecurity dressed up as effort. Strength is when you move forward with full confidence and zero recognition. Strength is when you give your best, even when nobody says thank you. Strength is when you build in silence, knowing that the results will show in time. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you unstoppable. Every time you act without validation, you train your mind to focus on the mission. You take back your time. You stop needing approval to feel valuable. You start valuing your own standards. And those standards become the foundation of everything you build. People will try to figure you out later. They'll wonder how you stayed consistent. They'll ask how you kept showing up when no one was watching. And the answer will be simple, because I didn't need an audience. I needed to grow. I needed to keep the promise I made to myself. I needed to stay true to the future I saw, long before anyone else saw it. You can do that. You don't need more motivation. You need more commitment. You need more truth. You need to remind yourself that every step you take, even when it goes unnoticed, still matters. Every action builds momentum. Every repetition strengthens the foundation. Don't underestimate what's happening just because it's happening in silence. Progress isn't always loud. Success isn't always flashy. Most of it is invisible. Most of it is uncelebrated. And most of it belongs to the people who stop needing anyone to clap. So wake up and move. Do what needs to be done, whether the room is full or empty. Whether your name is trending or unknown. Whether you feel hyped or not. Move anyway. Show up anyway. Deliver anyway. That's the difference between those who grow and those who stay the same. One waits for signs. The other creates them. One waits to be noticed. The other becomes impossible to ignore. You don't get to control who sees you, but you do control what you do. You control the work, the effort, the consistency, the follow-through. And if you keep doing that over and over, the results will speak. They'll say everything you never had to. Move without validation. Because nobody is watching now. But eventually, everyone will see what you built. And by then, you won't need their recognition. You'll already know who you are. Number 8. Own your pain and turn it into power. Pain is something nobody escapes. Every person walking this earth has felt it. Some carry it quietly. Some let it break them, and some use it. And that's the truth you need to accept. You can't run from pain. You can't erase it, but you can own it. And when you own it, you can do something most people never even attempt. You can turn it into power. That's the difference between staying stuck in your past and building a future that's stronger than what you've been through. Your pain might not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. What happened to you? What didn't go your way? What hurt you? That's real. No one can argue with it. But the question now is, what are you going to do with it? You can carry it like a weight that holds you back, or you can convert it into fuel that pushes you forward. That's your decision, and no one can make it for you. Owning your pain means facing it, not hiding it, not blaming someone else, not pretending it didn't hurt. It means you look it in the eye and say, this happened, I went through it, I survived it, and now I'm going to use it. It's not about being okay with what happened. It's about refusing to let it control the rest of your life. The people who turn pain into power don't wait to be rescued. They stop asking why. They stop replaying what should have gone differently. They stop letting the pain define their identity. And they start using it as a reason to become better, stronger, sharper. They take all that emotion, all that heaviness, and they turn it into drive, into hunger, into discipline. You can take what broke you and let it make you bitter, or you can take what broke you and let it make you better. That's not just a phrase, it's a choice you make every day. And the longer you hold on to your pain without doing anything with it, the more it steals from your potential. But the moment you use it, the moment you apply it, something changes. You stop seeing it as the end of your story, and you start treating it as the beginning of your next chapter. Nobody's going to hand you closure. Nobody's going to come fix the past. You have to decide that it no longer gets to shape your attitude, your mood, your actions. You take your pain and you find the lesson. You find the strength it gave you. You find the clarity it gave you. Because pain teaches you things that comfort never could. It sharpens your awareness. It shows you who's real. It reveals your weaknesses, and it introduces you to your deeper strength. But only if you own it. If you don't, it owns you. It sits inside your decisions. It colors your thinking. It keeps you stuck in old memories, and it holds you back from seeing what's possible. But when you say, this is mine, I'm not running, I'm going to use it, you take control. You take the steering wheel of your life back. And from that place, anything is possible. Some people don't want to own their pain because they think it makes them look weak. But the truth is, owning it is what makes you unshakable. It means you've seen darkness and you kept going. It means you didn't hide from what hurt. You faced it and grew from it. That's not weakness. That's real strength. That's courage. Pain is not your enemy. Avoiding it is. Numbing it is. Pretending it's not there is. Because when you avoid it, it controls you from the background. But when you acknowledge it, when you speak the truth about it, when you decide to grow from it, it loses its power over you and you gain power from it. You might not like what happened to you, but that doesn't mean you can't use it to become better. Some of the strongest minds in the world are built from deep hurt. They didn't get there by avoiding the pain. They got there by taking that pain and doing something with it. They used it to push harder, to focus deeper, to rise when most people gave up. There's power in your pain, real power, but you have to reach for it. You have to stop waiting for someone to understand you. You have to stop hoping that someone will come give you answers. You already have what you need to move forward. You just have to stop looking backward. You're not broken. You're not damaged beyond repair. You're someone who has lived through something hard, and now you've got a decision to make. Do you let that define the rest of your life? Or do you use it as the foundation for your next breakthrough? The people who create change are the ones who stop feeling sorry for themselves and start fighting for themselves, quietly, day by day. That pain you've carried, use it. Use it to build habits that make you proud. Use it to stay focused when you feel tired. Use it to prove to yourself that you are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to do next. You're not here to stay stuck in a story that already happened. You're here to write the next one. And you get to choose the tone. You get to choose the pace. You get to choose the ending. But it starts by taking ownership of the pain. Not with guilt, not with shame, with clarity, with acceptance, with a firm decision that says, this no longer controls me. Your pain will either drain you or drive you. It will either be a reason you quit or a reason you rise. You don't need to wait for things to be perfect. You don't need everything to feel okay. You just need to act. You need to take the next step with the pain, not after it's gone, but with it. Let it come with you while you work, while you grow, while you improve. And one day you'll look back and realize that the pain didn't stop you. It made you. That's the mindset. That's the transformation. You don't escape pain. You outgrow it. You outwork it. You turn it into a reason to be relentless. That's what owning your pain really means. Not carrying it forever, but turning it into a power source, into fuel, into clarity, into strength. You want to grow? You want to be respected? You want to win? Then face the pain. Use it. Don't waste it. Don't let it sit. Don't let it fester. Don't let it define you. Let it build you. Let it push you. Let it sharpen you. And when you do, no one will have to ask what changed. They'll see it in how you carry yourself, in how you show up, in how nothing breaks you anymore. Not because nothing hurts, but because you've already decided that pain doesn't stop you. It shapes you. And that, right there, is your power. Number 9. Act strong even when nobody sees your struggle. There are times when you'll be holding everything together, fighting battles that no one knows about, and still showing up like nothing is wrong. Not because it's easy, not because you're pretending, but because you've made a decision to be strong even when nobody sees your struggle. And that decision changes everything. That decision separates those who keep growing from those who give up. Because real strength isn't about what you show the world. It's about what you carry in silence and still manage to move forward with. You will go through situations that shake you, things that drain you mentally and emotionally, things you don't talk about, things no one even asks you about. People won't notice. They won't understand what it takes just to get out of bed some mornings. They won't see the weight you're managing behind the scenes. And even when you want someone to ask, someone to care, someone to step in, they won't. That's not cold. That's life. Everyone is buried in their own mess, and most won't have the space to check on yours. That's why your strength has to come from something deeper than being seen. When you act strong while you're struggling, you're not being fake. You're being disciplined. You're choosing to not let your low moments define your actions. That's courage. That's maturity. That's self-control. It means you've understood something most people don't. Strength is not about making noise when you're hurting. It's about showing up with intention anyway. Quietly, calmly, fully aware of the storm inside you, and still doing what needs to be done. This kind of strength doesn't come naturally. It's built. You train it by facing each hard moment with responsibility. You feel the pressure, but you don't fold. You feel the fear, but you move anyway. You feel the exhaustion, but you don't give up. Nobody sees the internal effort that takes. They see the outcome. They see that you're still functioning, still performing, still keeping things together. But what they don't see is the battle inside your head. And that's okay, because it's not their job to see it. It's your job to deal with it. People don't need to see your pain to validate your growth. You don't need to explain your struggle for your strength to be real. What you need is to hold yourself steady while the world around you keeps spinning. What you need is to refuse to let your lowest days make your decisions. Because the truth is, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to hand you a break. And if you wait for someone to understand, you'll miss the chance to lead yourself. You are not weak for struggling. You are not broken for hurting. You are human. But what makes you powerful is when you keep your focus, even in the middle of all that. When you make decisions based on your standards, not your emotions. When you remind yourself that you are more than this moment, and you act like it. There is a level of pride that comes from this kind of strength. Not arrogance, but quiet pride. The kind where you know that you're holding yourself together and no one even realizes the effort it takes. The kind where you walk into rooms with your head high, even when your world feels like it's falling apart. That's strength people don't understand until they've lived it. And once you live it, you're never the same again. Because you know what you're capable of. You know that no matter how bad it gets, you can keep moving. Some people think strength is loud, that it needs to be seen, acknowledged, praised. But the strongest people you'll ever meet are the ones who've struggled quietly. They didn't share everything. They didn't cry for attention. They didn't ask for permission to be okay. They just decided they wouldn't let their pain run the show, and because of that, they became solid, respected, centered. You might not be where you want to be yet. You might still be figuring things out. But the fact that you're here, the fact that you're still trying, still thinking, still planning your next move, that means you haven't given up. That means you're stronger than you think. That means you're already becoming the kind of person most people talk about but never become. Don't expect people to understand what you're carrying. They won't, and they don't have to. What matters is that you're not letting it stop you. You're not letting it freeze you. You're not using it as an excuse to sit still. You're getting up. You're doing the work, and that effort is writing a story no one else can write. You don't have to tell the world everything you're going through. Just keep doing what needs to be done. Keep showing up where it counts. Keep choosing the next step, even when you're tired. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you reliable. That's what builds trust in yourself and in others. When you live this way, you stop needing people to validate your pain. You stop needing sympathy to function. You stop hoping that someone else will make it easier. You start creating your own way forward. You start building a mindset that doesn't crack under pressure. You become stable, consistent, trustworthy, not just to others, but to yourself. That's what strength really is. When you say, yes, I'm hurting, but no, I won't quit. When you say, yes, I'm struggling, but I still have work to do. That's the kind of strength that can't be taught in books. It comes from lived experience, from choosing to be steady when you have every reason not to be. You will have moments where you want to scream, where you want to collapse, where you want someone to finally ask if you're okay. And sometimes no one will. But you keep going. You find peace in knowing that even if nobody saw your struggle, you saw your strength. You watched yourself hold it together. You watched yourself resist giving up. And that's something nobody can take from you. Keep acting strong, not because you're denying the struggle, but because you're leading yourself through it. Keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Your ability to stay focused in pain is what builds resilience. Your ability to move through chaos is what shapes your character. The reward doesn't come right away. There's no trophy for silent endurance. But over time, the results will show, the strength will compound, the mindset will become your normal. And you'll look back one day and realize that all those moments where you stayed strong in silence, that's what built you. So don't wait to be seen. Don't hope for someone to recognize the effort. Act strong anyway. Move with purpose anyway. Handle your life anyway. Because whether they see it or not, you're doing the work. You're carrying the weight. And you're becoming something unshakable. That's what matters. That's what lasts. Number 10, work like no one will ever check on you. The mindset that will truly transform your life is simple. Work like no one will ever check on you. Not your boss, not your friend, not your mentor, not your family, no one. Imagine you live in a world where nobody is going to follow up on what you said. No one is going to ask how much you got done, and no one is going to remind you of your goals. Now ask yourself, how would you work? How would you behave? Would you still push yourself, or would you relax the moment the pressure was gone? Most people only act when someone is watching. They clean up when the guests are coming. They deliver on time because a manager is monitoring. They hit deadlines when a grade or paycheck is tied to it. But when the pressure disappears, so does their discipline. That's why they never move beyond average. They only respond to accountability that comes from the outside. But success, real lasting success, comes from internal accountability. You do the work, not because someone checks, but because it matters to you, because you made a decision, because this is who you are. If you live waiting for someone to notice your effort, you'll always be chasing approval. You'll live in a pattern of performance, not purpose. And the moment you're not being watched, you'll slow down. You'll make excuses. You'll do just enough to get by. That mindset doesn't build anything worth keeping. That kind of discipline breaks the moment life stops clapping for you. But when you work like nobody's coming to check, when you commit as if it's all on you because it is, you move with a different energy. You don't wait to feel ready. You don't need motivation. You don't need supervision. You don't need reminders. You show up because that's your standard. You stay locked in because you don't want to live a life of regret. The strongest people you'll ever meet are not the loudest. They're the ones who take action in private, the ones who make progress when no one sees it, the ones who hold themselves to a higher standard even when there's no praise waiting for them at the end. That's what it means to be self-led. That's what it means to take ownership of your path. Working like no one will ever check on you forces you to decide who you really are. It's a mirror. It reveals your priorities. It shows whether you're building habits or hiding behind pressure. Because without someone telling you what to do, you find out quickly what really matters to you. And if the answer is comfort, distraction, or laziness, you've got a problem. But if the answer is progress, improvement, and personal integrity, then you're on the right track. Think about the life you say you want. Think about the goals you say matter. Now imagine nobody ever checks if you're following through. Would you still give it everything? Would you still wake up early? Would you still learn, grow, push, adjust? Or would you just drift, hoping something happens? Working like no one will ever check on you isn't about being isolated. It's about growing up. It's about no longer needing pressure to perform. It's about building something real, something you don't need to be pushed into. Because the truth is, nobody is coming to push you forever. If you can't do it without a deadline, without a crowd, without someone watching, you're going to fall apart when the structure disappears. At some point, you've got to stop depending on being told what to do. You've got to lead yourself. Not because it's easy, but because it's the only path that leads to lasting freedom. External discipline might get you started, but only internal discipline will keep you going when things get hard and boring and quiet. And they will. That's the part nobody likes to talk about. The path is lonely. It's slow. It's filled with long stretches where no one says anything. But if you work like you're the only one keeping score, those seasons won't stop you. They'll build you. There's something powerful about holding yourself accountable when nobody's watching. It builds a level of trust inside you that can't be shaken. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop feeling like a fraud. You stop chasing validation. Why? Because you know how much effort you've been putting in. You know what it took to stay focused while others drifted. That quiet pride fuels your next level. That private momentum becomes the reason you don't need external motivation anymore. You start to operate with integrity. You stop cutting corners. You don't need reminders to keep going. You don't need someone to say, "Good job." You already know what needs to be done, and you do it. That's discipline. That's control. And that's what separates the top 1% from everyone else. They act without being watched. They show up without being told. They deliver when there's no deadline. And because of that, they win over time. The world is full of people waiting for feedback, waiting for someone to tell them they're doing enough. But feedback isn't always going to come. Sometimes, silence is all you get. And if that silence breaks your work ethic, you're not ready yet. You're still performing, not owning. But when you're willing to go all in, regardless of recognition, regardless of applause, regardless of who's keeping track, that's when you step into your real power. You've got to ask yourself, what's the standard you hold when nobody's there to hold it for you? Do you still do the work when the spotlight's gone? Do you still commit when the pressure lifts? Do you still show up when the world stops asking how you're doing? The people who change the game are the ones who train in the dark. They rehearse their craft with no audience. They keep their promises even when no one knows about them. They move with focus while the rest of the world is distracted. And that kind of character, it doesn't fade. It multiplies. It carries you further than any praise ever could. You don't need someone chasing you to keep moving. You need clarity. You need purpose. You need to remember why you started in the first place. And once you find that, really find that, you stop slowing down when people stop watching. You keep building. You keep growing. You keep raising your standard. Work like no one will ever check on you, because the truth is, they won't. Not consistently, not forever. It's on you, and it always has been. So move like it, deliver like it, lead like it, because the person you become through that kind of discipline, that's the one who can't be stopped. That's the one who builds something that lasts. That's the one who doesn't need to be told. They already decided, and that decision is what separates them from the rest. If you want real progress, stop waiting for someone to show up for you. Start acting like no one owes you anything, and give your best, because it's who you are, not because someone is watching. Life won't always be fair, but you can always be focused. People won't always support you, but you can always stay disciplined. This mindset will set you apart. It will make you stronger, clearer, and more in control. Now it's your move. Stop expecting, start building, and live every day, knowing your future depends on what you do, not what anyone gives you.